Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on three. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fresh Take from What Fresh Hell, laughing in the face of motherhood. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy. Today we're talking to Kate Rope. She is an award-winning freelance journalist whose work has appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, Time, Life, and CNN.com. She lives in Atlanta with her husband and 2 daughters. Kate is the author of Strong as a Mother, How to Stay Healthy, Happy, and most importantly, Sane from Pregnancy to Parenting, and a new book, which we'll be talking about today, Strong as a Girl, your guide to raising girls who know, stand up for, and take care of themselves. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited by this book, and I want to quote your first line because I loved it. You said, "Congratulations to anyone raising a girl right now. This is the most exciting time to be doing it." And I was like, wow, what a refreshing and unexpected first line for a book about raising girls today. So tell us, why do you think that this is the best time to be raising girls?
I mean, I think any time is a great time to be raising a girl. I love girls. So that's number one. Let's just put that out there. 2, I don't like all the fear-mongering that happens around raising girls. I do think, there are some pitfalls you have to watch out for. And then my book is all about building a foundation with your girl so she can weather like those seismic shifts when they come. But girls are seeing an incredible amount of female empowerment, female leadership from like Greta Thunberg to Kamala Harris on the campaign trail to body positive TikTok reels. They're seeing in real time women and girls doing pretty much everything. And the other part is I interviewed, I don't know how many, but I did focus groups with girls across the country for this book. And every one of them left me buoyed and encouraged about the self-awareness and confidence and engagement with critical thinking skills and engagement with the world that girls have. So there are problems for sure. There are some big pitfalls, but I feel like they've got excellent heads on their shoulders. I feel like they have excellent role models around them. And if we can just dig in and do the work early, we can really set them up to maximize the opportunities that are there and get through the inevitable, some of them are inevitable, challenges of being a female in our society.
So, love the positivity. Also, as you said, pitfalls. So let's start with some of the big categories of pitfalls facing girls today.
So the first I would start with, and it's one of the biggest things I'm addressing in this book, it's timeless. It's the expectations around what girls should be, how they should be. They should be accommodating. They should prioritize the needs of others over their own. They should be agreeable. They should help everybody get along, peacemakers. Nowhere in that is they should be in touch with who they are and what they want and advocate for it. Right. So that's been our gender narrative from time immemorial. So that's just always there. And that's a big one to make sure you're thinking about as you raise a girl. If we think about modern day issues, social media and body image is a huge one. And eating disorders are on the rise among girls. They've risen almost 3 times since the pandemic, also among boys, but this book is about girls. and they've risen much faster among girls. And we know that can be tied directly to social media. In fact, all the research that's done on the harms of social media, the one that is the most scientifically validated and repeatedly found is that it does affect girls' sense of self. And body image was already difficult for girls, right? So even before they get to social media, 3-year-olds can say that their body doesn't look like it's supposed to look. So we know body image is both timeless and accelerated in a very extreme way through social media. So there's that. There is a rise in misogyny that we're all living through right now. It's interesting. I first wrote my proposal when the Me Too movement was happening, and my initial subhead was raising the not me generation. But by the time we got to me writing and then it coming out, we were in a new era of what I keep hoping is the extinction burst of misogyny and patriarchy. But that's very real. Girls are seeing that. And so we need to just make sure we are imbuing them with the sense of self-worth and confidence to challenge and manage it and lead us out of this moment. And then there's other timeless ones, right? Girls are much more likely to become a victim of sexual assault in high school and beyond. And one that applies to all kids, which is that I think we are really denying them time to explore, be outside, negotiate relationships with other kids without us being there. So risk-taking and independence, which is important for all kids, but particularly for girls to build their sense of self-efficacy and knowledge that they can manage what the world throws their way.
I think that something that underpins so much of this, and you talk about it a lot in the book, is that we task girls with considering other people's feelings more than we do boys. And I was just at a talk yesterday for teenage girls who are going through the college application process. And they were talking about how they were teaching these girls that even though they're going through something really hard, they have to remember kindness. They have to remember how to be kind to other people. And I'm like, I'm not sure that should be entering the chat right now, right? It's
just, please hold.
Right. More snacks, more sleep, not like, and please don't forget to be nice to everybody. Why is that always this additional work? And I think it does lead, you talk about it in the book, that when sexual consent is presented to girls as, stay out of trouble is the most they can hope for when they become sexually active. Stay out of trouble and don't get hurt. They think they don't have agency to go after what they want. It's about protecting themselves from what other bad people want. It just seems to me that that's so much about why girls struggle, that we give them that extra work.
Yeah, I am a huge proponent of kindness, and I dedicated my book to my mom, and I said, thank you for teaching me how to be strong and kind. But I think that we don't need to worry so much about teaching kindness. I think we could teach respect for other people and talk about respect for yourself. But I think if we're going to teach girls about kindness, we need to teach them about being kind to themselves. That is the skill nobody's teaching them.
I see that sometimes in parents, like, oh, this child is so cute. Look at how cute and beautiful they are. And it's like, they've already got cute and beautiful. We've checked that box. We don't have to lean into cute and beautiful. We maybe need to lean into voice or other skills, but sometimes that cute and beautiful is so noticeable or appealing to people that they just give voice to it over and over again. And I think about what skills are we missing because we are so busy praising cute and beautiful.
Yeah. And it's totally understandable.
Yes.
I catch myself doing it when I meet a young girl who's got this awesome dress on, or whatever. Like, we've all marinated in this, right? So we're all unlearning things and teaching ourselves new ways of looking at things. But I have a whole section in the book about responses to "you're so pretty," because my girls were getting those from 2 up. "You're such a pretty girl. Oh, how pretty you are." And at first I would voice a response. One time I was like, she's 2. Like, that's not only is that not the most important thing about her, that's creepy. Or we'd be at the post office and, some kindly postal worker is like, look how beautiful you are. And I was like, and you haven't even seen her do math. So I would model that. And then I would give her phrases to say, like, that's not the most important thing about me. Or I also really love skateboarding. Just trying to equip them with the critical thinking skills that when that is said to them, they notice it. They don't just take it in like, I'm pretty. That's really important. Everyone tells me I'm pretty. And so that's an important thing about me. And that's an important thing I need to maintain. Instead of, oh, that's weird. Why is everybody saying that to me? Even if they aren't the kind of kid who's going to have a comeback, if they've been taught to sort of think in that moment about what's being said to them and about what they might even just think in their own mind as a comeback, it's a little bit of a shield from that penetrating as deeply as it can.
Yeah, it's one of the many things that happens with kids that you don't think of that when I think of kids, and I do it myself, I'm speaking about myself. Oh, she grew up to be so beautiful. And I know she's also, very accomplished and plays the violin and does all these other things. I never look at a friend's son and think, wow, he's so handsome. It's just not the first thing I would ever say.
They're like, why is this lady saying, like, what Netflix documentary series is
Your child is extremely physically attractive, right?
Right. And that is more noticeably creepy than it is when it comes from a man to a young girl.
You talk about how important it is to start this work young. So I'm thinking about the person who might be listening to this now. I'm like, what is the problem with telling a 2-year-old she's pretty? And maybe word for word, micro interaction for micro interaction. It's not that. It's that you're learning messaging young, that you have to look pretty, that you have to center other people's feelings and consider them before your own. It's that messaging. But you also talk about how starting young is actually much easier than waiting until later. And why is that?
Yeah. By age 7, research has shown that girls see themselves through the external gaze. They judge themselves based on what they perceive to be the way the world is looking at them. So if that's happening at age 7, it's beginning at age 2. And 5 and 6-year-olds say, I should go on a diet. My body doesn't look like how it should look, how people's bodies should look. I'm not as smart as boys. And boys say the same thing about girls. So these messages actually start extremely young.
Boys say girls are not as smart as me.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, wow. It's interesting.
Boys and girls are both more likely to rate girls as less smart.
Oh, that's interesting.
Around the age of 6.
Wow.
So for that reason, early is good. But second of all, it's easier for you. It's more fun and they're more up for it, right? Like ages 5 to 12, which is more or less what my book is aimed at. And there are lots of things in here that could apply to a child before and after those ages, but I just picked that lane. They're evolutionarily programmed to follow you. You're their source of shelter and food, and you're their guide. So they're easily influenced by you, for one. And then when they hit 12, 13, 14, your influence wanes, and that's appropriate. That's what happens. It's for them to then individuate from you and become an adult eventually. So this is a time when they're like game. They're open to hearing, not always. My older daughter really never, ever wanted to take a piece of advice from me, and my younger daughter sucked it up. But it stuck, even though she was like, yeah, Mom, I know you write about parenting and that's important. And she was like that at 7. But it gets in there anyway. I have some stuff in the book that are really fun activities you can do with your girls to help them get to know themselves. And they're down for that stuff at 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's just a really fertile time, and it builds a connection. If you're talking about things like sex or consent and safety, you can talk about those early so that if they do run into something that is scary or harmful, when they're 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, they're going to come to you because you've established yourself as this safe place to talk about these things.
We're talking to Kate Rope. She's the author of the new book, Strong as a Girl, and we'll be right back. Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand. And it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE. Kate, let's talk about parenting from your hope, which is one of the sort of planks of raising girls that you talk about in this book.
So that was like a paradigm shift that happened years ago when I was writing a piece, and I interviewed a sex educator, and he's this awesome sex educator. He talks to parents all the time. Obviously, most of the people he's talking to are kind of freaked out about the topic, like they don't know what to say. So they're in kind of a heightened state when they enter the seminar or wherever it's happening. And so the first thing he starts with is, I want you to lead from your hopes and not your fears. Because when you lead from fear and when you parent from fear, first of all, you're just imagining outcomes. These are things that you perceive could happen. And then you get kind of locked down, and they aren't things that you can actually probably control, many of them. And so you're in a defensive posture where you're less open and less able to engage with the content. If you lead from your hopes, then you're imagining what you want. Instead of like, I'm so worried all these things are going to happen, you think, well, what do I want? One of the examples I give in the book is a kid being diagnosed with a learning disability. And obviously, most parents go through a process of some fear and confusion and overwhelm when that happens. And that's totally normal. But when you move through that, you could say, oh my God, she's dyslexic. And what if she never learns to read? And what if she hates school? What if she never goes to college, right? Your brain just tells these stories that have no basis in reality. And instead, if you're like, okay, once you've done your own work to process it, because, we're all human, you say, okay, what do I want from this? I want her to be able to read. Okay, so there's programs, there's systems, there's 504 plans, there's things I can do to enable that. And I want her to learn something about herself in the process. And so then you can sit down with her and be like, hey, this is a thing about you. And this is just something unique about you. And we're going to figure our way through it. And you're going to learn so much about yourself. And so if you think to yourself, what is the relationship I want her to have with this difference she has? You can actually make steps and plans to get there. You can't make steps and plans to ensure she will never hate school.
Right.
She might hate school with or without, a learning disability. So it's getting specific about what you hope.
You talk about that it doesn't need to be like, this is your superpower. Like, we don't have to lean into that story either. It's okay to say a disability is challenging and difficult. And I think as I talk to parents in the special needs community, the differential for girls in every way is narrower. Boys are allowed to be all sorts of different things, and girls are kind of supposed to be one way. And therefore, a girl with differences, challenges, diagnoses can feel even more complicated somehow, that they're farther from the quote unquote norm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's exactly. So I had this wonderful focus group with a group of girls who had some different diagnoses, learning differences. And one of them who has ADHD and is autistic said, girls are expected to be quiet. And she's like, my autism will not allow me to be quiet. I have to say the things in my head. And so it makes it even harder for me because I cannot conform to this expectation.
Right.
Or they are really able to conform, and then they hide it. Because girls have been so trained to meet expectations, to stand in line, to raise their hands in class, they can fake it. They can push down the parts of themselves that want to be expressed, that don't fit that narrative. And then many girls get much later diagnoses because they're masking.
Because they're spending so much of their personal energy masking. Right.
Yes.
Let's talk about something that's in particular for eating disorders that I had never heard before and I thought was very interesting. There's a psychological thing called anosognosia, I believe you would pronounce that. Explain why eating disorders have become more complicated, and this is one reason why.
Yeah. I mean, I think they always were complicated, but I think this is what inhibits us right now from addressing them early. So one thing is we have this past stigma related to them, which is that the old story goes, it's a controlling mother, it's a perfectionist, skinny white girl.
It's mom's fault.
Every old story goes, it's a controlling mother.
I know.
Right.
The home situation is the problem. And then it's usually a skinny, affluent white girl trying to regain control in her life and is using it for that purpose. I'm not saying that can't happen. Perfectionism certainly plays a part. But what we now understand about eating disorders, and which has not been, I don't think, well telegraphed to the parenting community, is that they are highly, highly biologically based. So we tend to think of them as a psychological problem, and we kind of want to not look too deeply and hope it goes away and not bring it up. But in fact, it's a biological problem that can happen very quickly. And the part that you brought up, can you pronounce it? Anosognosia.
I believe it's anosognosia.
Anosognosia, yes. Which basically means you're unaware you're sick. It also happens in schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, and other brain disorders. And so the problem is that someone who is developing disordered eating or has an eating disorder is not aware they have a problem. And so they very quickly will talk to parents, talk to concerned people and say, I'm fine, it's not a thing. Basically, the eating disorder is gaslighting them so that they don't think it's a problem. And then when a concerned adult tries to engage with them, they gaslight that concerned adult. And it's very easy as a parent. And a lot of times, kids are smart. They're able to marshal a really good argument about why they're eating the way they were eating or why they lost weight or whatever the thing is. And you can go, oh, I'm overreacting. Or you can worry, if I bring this up, am I introducing the idea? And the fact of the matter is, it's a biological process that is underway. So when our bodies get undernourished, when we don't have enough energy, essentially, to do what we need to do, for people who are susceptible to eating disorders, it can be a matter of even days, weeks, that they can flip into a state where their brain prefers that lower energy state, and it snowballs from there. So there's a lot of understandings we're having. One, that the understanding of how biological it is. Two, the highly genetic portion of it, how much it is about people being genetically prone to these conditions. And then three, that early treatment and treatment that is focused on re-nourishing so that someone is back to a healthy weight is the only way through. So I think sometimes a parent will worry about this with their kid and they'll start with therapy, but that's not going to solve the problem. You have to get that child re-nourished. And the earlier you do that, the way better the chances that they have of recovering. And anorexia is one of the most fatal pediatric illnesses. It's very serious. So the sooner you can get in there and break the cycle, get the nourishment in, the brain changes. And then that child can see, the experts will say, it's literally like a switch is flipped. They come back online. Their brain can engage because a starved brain is doing all kinds of things to stay alive, and it can't engage in a rational conversation with you about why it has stopped eating lunch at school.
And you also talk about the fact that we think of eating disorders as skinny girls, but that's not really the portrait of modern eating disorders.
Yeah, so 80% of eating disorders happen in kids with larger bodies. And it's not just affluent kids either, food scarcity. So you can get into an energy deficient state because you had oral surgery and you weren't able to really eat anything for a week or two because you got really, really sick. And so you weren't eating enough. because you decided to try a vegan diet that you saw on Instagram. And nothing against vegans. I come from a vegetarian and vegan family. But you decide to try out a diet that limits foods. And for any of those reasons, you can get undernourished. And that is what then kicks off essentially a metabolical, biological, psychological cycle.
So in those cases you talk about in the book, you're actually looking for that person who is not getting enough food is going to start behaving differently. They're going to be maybe a little more cranky, have less energy, and that we should trust what you call our caregiver gut and look for changes in our daughter. Just literally like a girl with an eating disorder doesn't have the self-awareness that she has disordered eating. I really need help. Like that will never happen because of this anosognosia. So you have to sort of watch for clues that a kid needs help, girl or boy, which might include changes in their energy levels or their socializing or what else?
So change in their eating habits. They're packing less for their lunch. Their lunch is coming home with more food in it. Foods they used to love, they're not eating anymore. They're starting to have strict rules around what they will eat and what they won't eat. And what was interesting is all the eating disorder experts I spoke to were like, if you hear a kid say, I want to eat healthier, get worried, which is so counter to our diet culture. You know, that's the other thing that happens is we have this diet culture that presents clean eating as a goal when in fact clean eating often kicks off an eating disorder. So everyone's saying, wow, you're eating so well, or you're looking so great. So they're getting all this positive reinforcement. But if you're noticing, if your kid says to you, I want to eat healthier, great. What do you want to do? If it's I'm cutting out sugar, if it's I'm not eating carbs, which by the way are some of the most important nutritional needs kids have for their brains to grow, that's a warning sign. If it's I just got to get more protein because I'm tired at the end of swim practice, or it's I want to introduce more and varied things, but there's no hard and fast rules. There's no I'm not eating cookies, I'm not eating sweets. Like strict rules about eating, smaller portions. In the case of a binge eating disorder, noticing food that's disappearing from your house, finding a lot of wrappers in your child's bedroom area, definitely irritability and the sign, you know, these could be signs of many mental health conditions, but irritability, once it gets to a certain point, wearing baggy clothes because you see your body as not what it is and you don't want to present it to the world, not engaging in things they used to like to do, not engaging in things that require them to be in a swimsuit or a gymnastics outfit or something, hearing them come home from cross country and that their coach has been talking about they need to get leaner in order to make a time. Sports are certain sports in particular are a huge trigger for eating disorders. So cross country, swimming, gymnastics, ballet are all areas where you want to know what that coach is saying to your kids and what the teammates are saying to your kids. And Virginia Sole-Smith, who I love, I don't know if you've had her
on the podcast.
Yeah. She's the best. She's like, get ahead of it. Your 5-year-old wants to start ballet. Great. And then you can say, there's a problematic history with how bodies need to, quote unquote, need to look in this sport. So I'm going to be really watching out to make sure that the people who are teaching you are keeping you healthy and that that's their priority and that's my priority. So getting ahead of it can also be, and again, I think that's that thing where we worry if we say the word out loud,
right. We're
magically going to cause it. No, we're not. What we're going to do is signal to our child that this is a conversation we're willing to have.
We're talking to Kate Rope. She's the author of Strong as a Girl, and we'll be right back. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
You talk in the book about how you can be doing everything in your power to be the best parent, the best caregiver. You're doing great. You've given your daughter all the support she needs. And sometimes it's still not enough. Sometimes in the situations you were just talking about, you're going to need external support for that girl and maybe for yourself too. And we are so prone to feel failure as parents, probably especially mothers, when that happens, because we're not enough. So what do you say to the parents in this book who maybe need to go find some external support and feel really bad about that?
Yeah, failure and responsibility, right? Because there's this narrative, particularly around moms, that we are responsible for this product. From the minute we get pregnant and what we choose to put in our body, we are influencing our child's entire trajectory, and we better not screw up, right? Which is total BS. So the first thing I would say is that, yes, we are a big influence in our children's lives. And that's why I wrote this book, because I think there's lots of good things you can do to support your kid imperfectly. Being imperfect is one of them, actually. But there's so many other influences. There's school, there's peers, there's media, there's social media, which I really advocate for keeping girls off social media till they're 16. And we can talk about that if you want to. But
we just talked about it with Dr. Twenge, Jean Twenge, in her new book. So
okay, great. Cool. Yeah. So anyway, you're one influence in a sea of influences. And what's happening in the world, school shootings, like your kids are exposed to a lot of stress beyond your home. And your kids are also predispositioned potentially to, I have anxiety, and I see it in one of my kids. So the first thing I say in the beginning of the book is, if you struggle with something like anxiety, like having a disordered relationship to food or your body, it might put your kid at risk a little bit more. But also your kid's sense of humor, their incredible math skills, all those other things come from you too. You're the whole package and they're the whole package. And you can't pick and choose. You can't have the perfect child with all the perfect inputs. So just know that if something happens and you think, oh, it's my fault, there are so many factors that come into that. And also think about all the other things that you've done that are super positive and helpful. And one of them can be getting your child help if they need it. So kids are under tremendous pressure. We know this. There's huge rising rates of depression, anxiety, self-harm, and suicide. And so this is certainly a national and in many ways a global phenomenon. So it can't be your parenting that's causing all these other kids to struggle, right? Like, the kids are struggling. And if your kid is struggling, they can feel so much better. And you can feel so much better when you have the information and the support to help them through it. And that's, again, the parenting from fear versus the parenting from hope. You see your kids struggling and you go into fear mode and, oh my God, and it's like freeze, flight, or fight, whatever, any of them. But you can't really be effective in that mode. But if you say, what do I hope? Okay, maybe my kid has anxiety. And what I hope is that she learns coping skills. Maybe she's going to have this her whole life. So many of us do have anxiety, by the way. Like, it's a pretty normal thing. I hope she gains the skills to manage it. I hope she learns about herself right now. I hope that she understands that she can go through tough things and come out the other side. I hope she understands that part of being strong is getting support when you need it. Whether that's your friends, whether that's your religious leader, whether that's your parent, whether that's a mental health professional. One of the biggest indicators of well-being in life is having a strong social support network. And mental health professionals can be part of that, and they can be part of helping your kid build that for themselves. That said, it's expensive. It's hard to access. It's hard to access for some girls and families, a therapist who gets where they're coming from, whatever their personal identity or lived experience is. So in the book, I have very detailed resources on how to find affordable care, how to find culturally competent care, how to navigate just even finding the care and knowing it's right. So I understand this isn't like I'm just going to get a therapist on the phone, but it's worth the effort. There are resources and your kid will feel better and you will feel better. It's not all your responsibility. And when you bring in a professional, you can go, this is their job. What a relief. They can help me change and navigate, and they can help my child change and navigate. And I'm on a team now. It's not just me in my bed at 3 a.m. thinking I'm the worst mother in the world. And same thing for yourself, right? Like, I mean, I'm a huge fan, and I have been. I wrote Strong as a Mother first, like put your oxygen mask on first. And There's a lot of topics in this book that may be really triggering. I mean, I try to be as compassionate as I can, but you may have gone through bullying for your body size, or you may have had a really negative experience because you were undiagnosed with a condition that you could have gotten really good support for. So you want to be your best person in supporting your child through those things, but you may need to get your own help in order to get to that place too. And you deserve it just because you're a human. And just because this is one of the hardest jobs on the planet, if not the.
You say that decreasing your anxiety, parenting from hope instead of from fear, that will help you decrease your anxiety, which will help you increase your confidence, which will, of course, make you feel better, but will also help you parent more effectively. So it seems like there's a lot of ways this can quickly devolve, but there are a lot of ways that this can quickly improve.
And giving your children more appropriately leveled responsibility takes it off of you because you think you have to do everything and you have to fix it. But it's actually better for your kid if you don't. It's actually better for your kid if they fail and learn they can survive that. It's also taking work off your plate to do this, to like give back to them some of the responsibilities that they can handle and that will totally benefit their development and will let you maybe sit on the couch and read a book.
And I think a lot of mothers have gotten the message, and I'm really just thinking of this for the first time as we're talking about it, that a lot of these subjects we're doing wrong. We're saying the wrong things to our girls about their bodies. We're saying the wrong things to our girls about their sexuality and their sex lives. We're saying the wrong things to them about all these things. And that we get a little parallel. These are already difficult topics. Like, I don't know anybody who was like, tonight, I cannot wait to sit down and talk about sex with my 14-year-old girl. And believe me, the 14-year-old girl is not looking forward to that conversation either. But it feels really useful to say, these are the conversations we need to be having. And there's a way through them. And it's not just this field of landmines that if you ever bring up, you're probably going to say the wrong thing and make it worse.
Yeah. I mean, I have these caregiving superpowers throughout the book. And one of them is making mistakes and making repairs because you don't want a perfectionist kid. And so you don't want to model perfectionism for them. So you making mistakes and then owning up to them is some of the most powerful parenting you can do. And it gives them the freedom to do that too. So the other thing is, welcome to the club. We're all learning on the job. We all marinated in diet culture, in people pleasing. This has been our upbringing. So of course, we're going to not always get it right. And I learned so much in this book that changed my parenting, right? So you can course correct at any time, and kids really value that. The one I give in the book is kind of a little one, but my younger daughter loves this udon from a sushi place, and it has one piece of broccoli in it, and she never eats it. And every week, or whenever we get it, I'm like, are you going to eat the broccoli? Can you just try the black? Would you eat the broccoli? You know? And then I talk to all these intuitive eating experts for my book, and they're like, yeah, that's the least effective way
Cut that out.
Help a kid have a healthy relationship to food. And I'm like, okay, cool. Literally that night after that interview, we had sushi, and I said to my daughter, you're going to notice that I'm not talking to you about that broccoli anymore, because I've learned that is not the most helpful way for me to encourage you to love broccoli or whatever. And so, I mean, she was like, okay, Mom, another parenting thing from the work you do, whatever. But you can do that. That's powerful. And also, you can outsource. I mean, I do have in the book lots of ways to have an open conversation. Like, I feel like if you just tell someone, just talk openly with your kid about sex. Well, if someone already can do that naturally, they don't need to hear that. And if someone doesn't know how to do that, that doesn't help them because they still don't know what that means, right? So I have like conversation starters, books, different ways to get into the conversation. You can admit you don't know everything. Your kid can ask you a question. You can be like, you know what? I feel like I don't have the right answer for that and I want to research it. Or let's look it up together, depending on what it is. So there's a lot of room for bringing someone else in if it's a topic that's just really hard for you. Baby steps. The 14-year-old conversation about like, your body is for you is a little more fraught because you don't know what's starting to happen at age 14. But you can start that conversation when they're 4 on the slide and someone's pushing them. And you can be like, hey, let her be in charge of her body. Or they're pushing. Hey, let them be in charge of their body. You can start these conversations early so that then when they come back up later, you've got a baseline and you're like, hey, remember when I used to say that? That still applies. And now you're practicing it on a bigger playing field, but you've both practiced getting through those awkward conversations.
We've been talking to Kate Rope. She is the author of the new book, Strong as a Girl, Your Guide to Raising Girls Who Know, Stand Up For, and Take Care of Themselves. We'll put the link in the show notes so you can buy the book right from our show notes or wherever you get books. And Kate, tell our listeners where else they can find you.
So my website, katerope.com. My Substack is Strong as a Human. And my Instagram is @KateRopeWriter.
Awesome. We will link to all of those places in the show notes right below this episode. Kate, thanks so much for this great conversation.
Thank you. I loved it.
Thanks, Kate.
You can't reason with the sun. Trust us, we've tried. This summer, it's time to put that angry ball of fire on mute. Columbia's OmniShade technology is engineered to protect you from the sun's harsh rays that can burn and damage your skin. The sun is relentless, but so is our gear. Level up your summer at Columbia.com to spend more time outside and less time slathering on aloe lotion. You're welcome. Columbia, engineered for whatever.